Hey everybody, welcome to the Game Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey. I'm getting a lot of interference from
Yeah,
Dave.
the little thing just yanked out. It's back in.
What was that?
The headphone cord popped out.
Ah, well, welcome back, Dave, the dashing Dave Thier,
Always dashing.
and then of course Mystic Mac, Manu Rosier.
Hello.
Hey, welcome back, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We got some really cool feedback last week, Dave. No glasses today, but
No glasses.
they were saying that your sound was perfect.
Awesome. Everyone's saying it.
Everybody's saying that.
Yeah.
And Manu, you're in the office today. Different setup.
I just want to wave to potentially some new followers as I had a chance to do some roundtable at Amazon Gaming on Tuesday, and I think some of the people found the discussion interesting, and they're probably now going to watch us more often.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too.
Spreading the word.
Hello, any new viewers or listeners we have.
Yes. Manu, me and you almost matching t-shirts today as well.
Yes.
Keeping the glasses.
Low profile.
Yes. Gentlemen, before we dive into there are some really interesting things. Also, before the call, we were talking about some people doing some reports, earning reports, or strategic reports that we might have some comments on. But before we do that, what are you playing? Your weekend, all that stuff that people ask me to ask you.
Are people really interested in our private life?
Okay, I'll come clean. There's one listener who's extremely dedicated and who wants to ask these questions. So shout out to that guy.
I like it. I've been playing this game, Warcraft Rumble, which is basically, it's an auto battler by Blizzard, obviously, and it does a great job. It's basically, I played Clash Royale for a little while. It has the same vibe, but the maps are much more interesting, so it has much more of an RTS vibe. There's resources on the maps that you can capture. There's like high ground and all kinds of stuff like that. Very, very well done little game.
Sharing my screen here with some Warcraft Rumble.
Yep. So there we've got the spiderlings. They have poison. Harpies up there. They can harvest gold if you upgrade them properly. So they're very commonly used for that reason. And you can see you can capture those little rocks, and then you can deploy your guys forward. Things like that.
And this is an official Blizzard game?
Yep.
Okay.
It's I think they're making good money off Diablo Immortal in China, so they're maybe just exploring that a little more. And I think this one has done well. It was on mobile for a while, and I believe they just did a PC release as well.
Amazing. Manu, how about you? What's going on your side?
I've downloaded Sniper Elite Resistance, which is in the Game Pass. There is a long series of Sniper Elite games. Every time I try them, and I'm a bit frustrated that it's not that polished, or there are technical issues, or it feels a bit clunky. So I wish there would be finally one game that would be really like the Hitman level, but with Sniper. And I think they are not there yet. I don't know how many games they will need to be there, but I think that I would enjoy that. Right now, I don't know, I have some technical issues. It's kind of the game. The moment you do this zoom on the bullet going through the head, like slow motion thing, and then it breaks the game, or I don't know what's happening with this.
Oof. Yeah.
But I really like this idea, and I think the formula has improved with the years. I still feel like it's.
You can turn off the intense gore, I assume.
Oh, wow.
Or the slow motion replay, but that's part of the game, right?
Right.
But other than that, it's looking great. It's just it feels a bit funky.
Yeah, I was interested by it.
And then another game also in the Game Pass, which is Eternal Strands.
Eternal Strands.
Mm-hmm.
But by the way, before we go to Eternal Strands, is the Sniper Elite game multiplayer or single player?
Single player.
Single player.
You have to see it. Sorry, I will have to wave.
I mean, you're famous at this point, so you have to.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
for the light, because the light is turning off. But
Let me get you some
Yeah, it's so nice.
internal strands gameplay.
I just started.
Yeah, that's cool.
It looks interesting. Yes, I see if I play a little bit more. I'm not a fan of the design because it looks very generic, but I think the gameplay seems interesting. So you can basically play with fire and with ice, at least in the beginning, and there are interaction with the environment. So I'm curious to know more. I wish it would be different.
It has a very MMO
Yeah.
MMO vibe to it
Yeah.
visually.
Is this a Swedish game? Because it does remind me a lot about. It feels like it's a mashup between Monster Hunter and good lord, what's that Japanese game? The PlayStation one with the big monsters you climb.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, Shadow of the Colossus. Thank you.
It's more like a hack and slash.
Hack and slash.
Yeah. So yes,
I like that shot of her climbing up the ice ramp to
yeah,
the big. That's a
exactly.
cool thing.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. This and there is some part where there is fire, so you have to throw ice to go through the fire. So yeah, I might try a bit more.
Gentlemen, I haven't played anything for the past month or so. I think I'm still in the Elden Ring world, still dreaming about Elden Ring. But I do have some interesting data I would like to share with you about my kids' behaviors. And here's what's cool for those who have Game Pass. You can get like a Microsoft family kind of like breakdown each week about what your kids are doing. Okay. So one of my kids, I think, is less interesting because there are 4 games on his list, and he's jumping, and it's almost like divided in time. So he's jumping between EA Sports SC, Call of Duty, the finals, and Fortnite, and it's almost equal time, like an hour each. So that's like 4 hours that week. But I have the younger sibling. That guy's a bit weird, and I would love to see what you think about this. So there are 3 games on the list. There's Minecraft, Roblox, and then there's another game that maybe not a lot of people are talking about. It did okay. But anyways, so Minecraft is the last one. Almost spent like 10% of their time there. And then Roblox spent almost like 20-30% of his time there. But there's a game that's taken up almost 70% of his time. It's a shooter. It's a Swedish shooter.
Battlefield?
Free to play.
The finals.
Yes. I'm just confused about that. But he spent like 5 hours playing the finals last week. He's all into that thing. He's 7, by the way. I'm not sure that's a game introduced for a 7-year-old, but
yeah, you could get that's about the time when you can probably get your hands around dual analog a little bit more.
I want to check out what's happening with the finals on Steam and see if there's anything that is sticking out to us. Oh wow, okay. I guess I had different ideas about what's going on with the finals, but they have been doing a lot of cool things in the game. Major changes, major updates, major type of like gameplay, unique gameplay. They've been very creative, but it seems like there's no bite, at least on Steam. Any thoughts about the future for this game? Is there even room for this type of game?
It's tough. People that are playing it are people. Your target demographic is playing other games, and they are highly committed to those games, both in terms of their time and skills and community and real money purchases. So it's hard.
Yeah, I don't know if it's sustainable for the studio and the publisher with such a level of concurrent players. If it's enough to keep the team and to continue doing these seasons and battle pass and stuff like that. I don't see in short term how they can increase their audience, because the ship has sailed. People have seen the gameplay, they liked it or they don't like it. So I think people wanted to try, and it was innovative somehow, but probably not enough to keep the players engaged and move away from whatever lifestyle game they are playing.
Fair enough. I wanted to move over to the news. Thank you, by the way, for the analysis there. But before I do, I just came up with another question. What intrigues me with Sniper Elite, because I thought for a while either there was a version that was multiplayer or some sniper multiplayer game. But I just feel like the concept of, let's say, you and a sniper friend versus two other snipers in a PvP game on that huge map, and you're like almost trying to find each other. Is there anything like that today that you're aware of?
No, you have some type of sniping element in other games, right? Whether mostly battle royale or even Battlefield and games like that. I think you would spend a lot of time searching for something to happen. So I'm not sure it would work. But I remember playing Far Cry 1 only with snipers back then with 3 or 4 friends. It was really fun because the whole part was really staying hidden, right? And surprising people. So yeah, maybe there is something, but that would be a very slow-paced type of game.
Yep.
Yeah, also like Spy Party to a certain degree, which has a multiplayer component. I mean, obviously the mechanism of hiding is very different, but the same idea of getting someone to watch very carefully to see if there is someone out there.
You probably want to add like bots or something to make the game a bit more alive than just having 4 players in a huge map trying to fight each other.
I mean, it's the kind of thing where like I'd love for people to be able to make. I'd love people to be able to make the game with just the 4 people and not the bots in it. But like, obviously, it'd be super niche. But I feel like if someone could make that, if we can have shorter development cycles, lower commitment, we could start making games like that again. They wouldn't need to have mass appeal in the same way.
I'm hoping the Sniper Elite people just start listening in. Like, click that button that adds multiplayer. And
yeah, just enable multiplayer.
Yes, that's how it works.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen. We'll move over to the news. And we're going to start with the highlights, of course. The number 1 item on the list. Chinese publishers set a new record. 6 games dominate the top 10 Steam best-selling list. So, speaking of the rise of the East. Cool. Oh, good lord. By the way, Manu, that link doesn't work. I'm getting like a 404, but in Chinese, I believe.
It's a Chinese website, and it's. Oh. I also had that problem, but then it works. So I don't know if.
Let me see if I can get it to work. No, maybe there's a link on the main page.
Oh yes, it's not working.
Can I translate this? Let's see if this works. Translating this thing.
Oh wait.
There you go.
I got it. I'll correct it instantly.
Thank you. We'll wait for that. But you saw my screen, right? It said browser needs screen sharing permissions.
Oh, interesting.
But you saw my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
I did not. Or maybe I was tapped away. I was looking away for 1 second.
Try again? No, oh my god.
Let's try again. Thank you for that update. Here we go. Okay, now I'm getting this awesome Chinese
you just auto-translate, right?
Yeah, we'll give it a try. I assume you see my screen again?
I see Paimon of Genshin Impact. Very interested in the Xbox logo.
Okay, so Manu and Dave, what can we learn about this article?
I've been thinking about that, and I have not such great news. If I share my thought, I feel like all the jobs that were lost in the past few months and years in the video game industry, mostly in the Western part of the industry. I'm afraid many of them won't come back. I think it's not just about now the industry is going well and then everybody's going to be rehired. I don't think everybody's going to be rehired where some people were fired. I think there is a shift to let's say low cost development areas of the world. I think in the same way that we've seen what happened with the manufacturing industry a few decades ago, at some point, most of the production will be done in like low wage countries. And what we will keep probably in Western world are the publishing roles, like actually the people that know how to market these games. But I think the production of the game will most probably be relocated. So I call that the globalization of video games industry. I think it feels more and more obvious, and I've already mentioned that in this podcast, like the Nexon, the Tencent. First, they took some share in Western publishers and studios, but now they are basically building the games themselves, tailored to the taste or the expectation of the Western audience. And we've seen that in many industries in the past, and I think that's what's going to happen to the video game industry.
It's hard to imagine it wouldn't. To be honest, like people in lower cost countries can do good work, are good coders, are good. They can do all that work. So the upsell of having, if you've got your 1,000-person studio, the upsell of having a lot of that baseline work done in a higher cost country is just not worth what it costs.
I think we will probably keep most of the IPs from Western world, but there is also a chance that some of the IPs will actually come from these territories, right? In the same way that we've seen the K-pop, just singers coming from Korea and being at the top of the chart in everywhere in the world. I think there is a possibility that we will see this also happening for video games.
Yeah, I think the Western world, led by the U.S., pretty much defined global culture like as soon as when global culture started to exist.
Mm-hmm.
But there's just no rule that says we have to keep doing that, and you see it eroding all over the place, basically, from music to movies, games here.
Gentlemen, it does feel like from a creative standpoint, the Western studios have kind of like, maybe not the indies specifically, but on the higher level budget games, there's a stagnation. There's a not necessarily a fear, but there's a bigger focus on iteration rather than bringing something new and fresh. When was the last time we saw something that is like that really stands out? And in some cases, we actually abandoned things that we were really strong at. And now I'm thinking purely about, let's say, the Uncharted and the Last of Us type games.
Anthem was 2017.
You saw that as an impactful game.
But Anthem was one of the biggest launch for a new IP in the last 10 years, probably. Right?
Wow.
And I think when you think about that, there are not so many games that were at least launched with this ambition. I mean, Destiny was launched before. Some other games were launched before. So I think for me, Anthem was one of the last big one. Other recently, they've been based on existing IPs, like all these Marvel and DC comic games.
And
they are not new, right? It's not. Yeah. And we saw Concord recently with the result there was. So I think Concord was also a big one, a big tentative. But yeah, it's difficult.
By the way, looking at the screen, it's crazy how, beautiful this game is.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot how pretty Anthem was, and it had that feeling of flying through these environments, and that was really special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. This is a trailer. I don't remember.
No, this is gameplay.
That was gameplay. I don't remember things actually moving that way in game, but that was a while ago.
Let me.
Oh yeah.
This is gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. gentlemen, let me see where.
One thing I like to repeat also is these Asian studios, mostly Chinese and Korean, they've built their success on mobile game, and they are using the same strategy for go-to-market and for live service and for engagement. I think I got that feedback about Delta Force, which is this kind of Battlefield free-to-play competitor, where it feels like it's very much monetized, like a mobile live service game. And I think they're just coming with the proven recipes. And at the same time, there is a blurring audience between mobile and HD, because the kids, they both play. They know they play the Brawl Stars, they play the Clash Royale. They're already into that kind of monetization and live service system. So for them, it's normal to see the same with an HD game. While before there was a clear difference between how live service would be run on a console compared to live service would be run on a mobile. So
yeah, I feel like our generation we just had a lot of expectations and a lot of very specific ideas of like what a AAA game was. You bought it on a disc that you got on store shelves, and like we just had, you know, we had, and we had a real emotional reaction to the idea that idea was going to change, both in terms of downloading and in terms of in-game purchases. But kids don't care.
Yeah.
I just want to go back to this article again to look at the top bestsellers, and this article is mentioning, so in third, okay, I'm just gonna say the names of the game. So Marvel's Battle, that's NetEase.
That's Marvel, the Rivals, right?
Rivals, not Battle.
This is the poor translation, but this is, you know what game it is.
Yes, I'm not sure which one is Operation Delta. Is that Delta Force?
Yes.
Probably, yeah, Delta
Just
Force.
look at the logos below. That's going to be better.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So you have number 1, PUBG, which is Korean. You have stop scrolling. You have number 3, Marvel Rivals. You have number 5. You have number 6. You have, I think, number 10, Nakara.
Is that Nikki or is that
Is it not Nakara? Nakara Blade.
Oh yes, yes.
And then 7 Days of the World. I don't know what the name is, but anyway, I think you get the.
We get the idea.
And Warframe at 7. Good old Warframe. I have a lot of positive feelings about Digital Extremes. I think they seem good.
If we go back in time, was video games dominated by Japanese developers at one point in time during the NES era? Was that the case?
I think so. I mean, certainly a lot of the, you know, Pac-Man and Mario, that represents a giant chunk of things. Into early N64 PlayStation era, I would have to look at the numbers to see if dominating is the right word, but certainly through that era, what I remember being the most visible things were a lot of Japanese stuff.
Yeah, I'm thinking about, like, you know, the Capcoms, the Konamis, the Atlases, Square Enix, but I'm having a hard time thinking about, like, you know, a Western developer. Like maybe you have not King Kong, good lord, Donkey Kong.
From Rare.
Yeah, Rare is English, I believe. You had the GTAs maybe, but yeah.
Okay, GTAs weren't really kicking off until PS2 era. I mean, they had obviously the top down ones. Those people played those, but it was
absolutely Okay. Newsflash. This is the second highlight. It's one of those articles, right? So you'll have to elaborate, Manu. The console wars are over, quote unquote, and nobody really won. I mean, what's going on here?
I had a discussion with some colleagues about that. They don't really like the read, and as the end not already happened a long time ago, or it's like was there ever a war? I think that's the question. I think Nintendo never tried to fight anybody. They're just doing their Nintendo stuff. They are the most on their island, I would say, among the three. And then there was a competition between Xbox and PlayStation. I think it was back then Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox. But then I think started last generation or the previous generation, it was already clear that they were going in a different path. And yes, I would say Sony won probably the living room battle. Yes, they won Nintendo won the bus trip battle, the airport battle, the bedroom battle,
or just the recliner in the living room and not the couch.
Yeah, exactly. And then Xbox is trying with keeps trying things, probably maybe in different angle. They're moving more towards being a publisher. And I read someone saying Microsoft can succeed as a big publisher like Sega did. I don't know how much Sega can be considered as a successful transition between console maker and becoming a publisher, right? So.
And the scales that we're talking about are really different.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the challenge for Microsoft is that they've acquired all these studios, and it's not moving the needle enough for the Game Pass. It's not moving the needle enough for the sale of console, right? The hardware sale. So they're like, how much more can they do?
I mean, I know what they can do. They can do Game Pass on PlayStation.
Yes, and then that's it. So the way I see, again, I had this vision. You might know I'm having this podcast on a Microsoft Surface, which is just another laptop running with Windows. Most of the laptops are running with Windows, and you can use all the Microsoft apps on any laptop, but they still have their own version of a laptop. And maybe tomorrow they will just have their own version of a Game Pass machine, and then Game Pass will be available on all other platforms, and that's it. So it will not be crucial anymore for them to sell their own platform.
So if we want to stick by the idea of console generations, at least on the high fidelity world of consoles, what are you predicting here in the next cycle, if there is any?
Oh, there will be a new PlayStation, slightly more powerful. Marketing will do a good job into making people believe that they need to upgrade. I think as we discussed, we've reached some plateau when it comes to graphical fidelity. So at this point, I think the big plus for the Gen 5, for the PlayStation 5, was the SSD disk, because it made it improved the quality of life of the player. So they don't have to wait for all the loading. Other than that, when you look at what features can be implemented, I'm not sure the 8K will be a selling point. I'm not sure the 8K it's too much. Nobody
we don't even
needs
have 8K screens.
Yeah, exactly. VR, neither. New controller, maybe. So I don't see at this point what can be the selling point of a PlayStation 6.
Yeah, I feel like the main problem is that because of the sort of paradigm of console generations that we have, they're gonna need PlayStation 6 exclusives.
Yeah.
And those are gonna need to justify themselves in some way. And that's a tough argument to make. PlayStation 5 exclusives can barely justify themselves. And it's gonna, like you said, you need something like the SSD. Something to the side.
I'm still waiting for my next Uncharted and my next.
Well, Uncharted. I'm disappointed about the loss of Uncharted. I like those games because they were fun. Last of Us is not particularly fun. But it's going to be a tough argument, and I have the same concerns about the Switch too, because they have confirmed that there will be exclusives on the Switch too, and you're splitting. You're taking this giant player base and taking this tiny little part out of it and trying to sell them a game.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Dave, I will highlight, I did sell my Switch. I was successful in doing so. So
congratulations.
Now I'm and I sold it with like broken controllers, and the guy who bought it, he understood the entire thing. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get new ones.
And I think Nintendo is still very unclear about their strategy with the Switch One, because I think I think it's, maybe I put that there. I'm not sure I put that there. Yes, they say it will support Switch One if there is a demand. But that doesn't say that. What does it mean, support? Does it mean like still selling the hardware, or like making sure the games are compatible with the Switch One? And at the same time, as you can see also in the newsletter, they have to cut again the forecast for the Switch One. sales. Yeah, it's a bit. I think it's. I don't know if it's number yet.
Don't you think that the Switch is too expensive? How much is the Switch today?
Still, they haven't really cut it. What is
The
it
new
now?
one better not be expensive.
Yeah, it should be. I think that the new one's going to have to come alongside a price cut on the one, and it's going to have to be basically the same price as the one is now.
Well, what is it? Do you have dollar, please?
So this is in Swedish crowns. This translates almost to $370.
Yeah.
Let's see.
That's
Switch.
expensive.
The new one is to be under 400, right? Even 400, I think it's a lot.
Yeah. Let's see.
I'm willing to pay more.
300. I'm seeing 300 on the Amazon US.
Okay.
The buy Nintendo is 365.
At 400, you wonder. Yeah, at 400, you wonder if you upgrade, right? Because you can sell the Switch one maybe to 100, 120.
Yeah.
150. So do you upgrade 400? Do you do kind of double, put back 200, 250 euro to get the new one? I think this formula needs to be proven. I've read people saying that the Switch 2 will beat the Switch 1 in terms of first year sales. I'm very. I put my money on the table that it will not.
Yeah, I think the Switch 1 next year might be the Switch 1. Maybe the Switch 1 in terms of first year sales. People still want to buy those.
Yeah.
Well, when they introduced the OLED version, did they remove the old one, or are they still continuous?
They have both.
Yeah.
They have both. But wait, they have three, right? They have one without the dock thing.
The light.
The light. And they have the OLED and the non-OLED.
I believe.
And people, the light, I'd like to see numbers on that because I believe it's been very successful, at least anecdotally. Like, I know tons of parents getting those for their kids, and typically getting, like, if they have two kids, they'll get each one a light.
By the way, now I was checking the prices again. The OLED version is actually $400+. In Sweden, at least.
Yeah, but that is already premium. It's tough. Like, Switch 2 is going to have to be marketed as a premium device, but that is not how it's positioned. How it's positioned is as the standard version of the next generation. Yep. OLED is a premium thing. That's an upsell, only being sold to people that know what OLED is and care and all that kind of thing. But that is not how you position a new console generation. It begins in a premium way because only enthusiasts adopt it, but it's supposed to be. It's just a lot of tough questions here.
But 2 is OLED out of the box, right? Or
I believe so.
Oh yeah. The two will be better than the OLED on every level, obviously.
Gotcha.
The screen might be the same. The screen could be the same.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to get to is, like, I feel like the Switch 1 is to the Switch 2 what the Lite is to the. Do you know what I mean?
I think, well, we're going to get a Switch 2 Lite at some point. I think it's not going to be quite that way just because the Lite is a different proposition. The Lite it does not switch.
They should keep they should probably remove at least the Switch 1 OLED. But keep the Switch 1 Lite. I mean, I would keep the Lite.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think removing the OLED would make sense because then you still have the same progression to premium.
Which you would have the Lite and probably the Switch 2 twice the price of the Lite.
Yeah. So 200, 400.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that would make sense, right? 200, 300, 400.
Yeah.
I'm still worried.
Okay, fair enough. Let me see. So, I mean, I feel like this console war article, there is some merit to it, and I do feel like that's something to, like, to read, to kind of, like, tie things off, and we've moved on. Now we're in a different type of
PlayStation's releasing stuff on PC. Like, everyone's just loosening up a little bit.
Gotcha. Gentlemen, I'll move over to the news. Now, the first item, there's no link to it, but I assume...
No, there is.
Oh, there is now?
Yes, I just noticed.
Is it a Bloomberg link?
No, it's a
link. Probably the same thing.
Finance, but yes, Bloomberg.
Okay, but here's the headline. Mystery creator sells Roblox Brookhaven RP video game. So, for those who don't know, in Roblox, you can make your own games, and you can sell them or have them as a live service product. And Brookhaven is one of the top 10 experiences on Roblox. But tell us, Manu, what are we supposed to learn about this item?
That you can make money out of your Roblox experience. Not only just like recurring revenue, but just at some point you just sell them. It's like a startup that they are selling, right?
Yeah, interesting.
And so Brookhaven, and I think it's not the first one, but it might happen more. And then you might have investment firm actually owning a few of the Roblox experience. That's totally
they're
possible.
basically, it's like buying a billboard, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think that's a lot of what you get from. I mean, Brookhaven's huge. My daughter likes to play hide and seek in Brookhaven, which is virtually impossible. So she just goes and hides, and I just run around in circles for like half an hour until she's like, "You didn't find me." I'm like, "Of course I didn't." But I think that if you see some private equity firms start to collect some of these, I mean, Brookhaven, no reason Livetopia isn't on the table. That's kind of Brookhaven's like Livetopia's little sibling, I feel like. That you're just advertising space. You're just owning big ass advertising space.
Like if you are a VC and you have 200 million to spend in video games, what do? Do you finance a studio with the hope that they will come with a AAA game that might be successful, or you just buy 120 million monthly active user on a teenager and a younger kids platform? That's very simple, right? What do you do with your money as an investor?
Yeah, proven monetization, no surprises. Yeah. It's established. It's been around for long enough that it's gone through several cycles of kids, so we know it's pretty durable. Why
not? By the way, there was another item here as part of this article saying that the Roblox game Welcome to Bloxburg was sold to Embracer, which I did not know about. And it's reported for $100 million.
Yeah.
So Brookhaven.
So I guess
a fair price for Brookhaven would be more than 100 million, I think.
What I would do, Manu, I would hire a bunch of kids across the world and just give them the 100 million. Like, hey, make me 100 million games and just flood Roblox.
So buck a game, huh?
Yeah.
I mean that's basically what Roblox did, except without the giving them money part.
Yeah. I mean, my only concern here, or maybe this goes for any platform really, but it does feel like, aren't you at the mercy of Roblox? Or, I mean, you could say the same thing about Steam, but obviously you could just pull your game and sell it on your website separately, like, I don't know, Escape from Tarkov as an example. But don't we see this as a major risk to put your eggs in a basket where you control nothing on that platform?
Lots of everything's got risks, and that one's not really that much more than what you see elsewhere, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to argue with you, gentlemen. Then I'm going to move over to the next item. EA has confirmed a planned release window for its new Battlefield game. What can we learn about that? I have some thoughts about this idea of having 10 studios in different countries collaborating on one of the biggest games. Shall we start with you, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve-wracking. Whenever I hear about a game being released, even if it's from an established series, if it's not Call of Duty or GTA, it's nerve-wracking. Battlefield has a long history of bad releases, and every time they do it, the market becomes less and less willing to sustain it, both in terms of Battlefield itself and people getting fed up with it, and also just the market in general. People don't wait around for it to fix games in the same way that they used to. So I'd love it to work. Love more competition in that space. I'd love more big battles. But I think that the hill that Battlefield must climb gets steeper with every Battlefield.
Yeah, I think last Battlefield was Battlefield 2042 in 2021. So that was like the end of the COVID. That was almost 4 years ago. It will be at least 4 years until the next one. And the world has changed a lot since then. And you can also see, like we talk about Delta Force game that seems to be doing well, right? There is the active players on Steam is very stable, around 70,000, I think.
Yeah.
So it's sticking so far. And So they will have more competitors in their genre, and also more competition from other genres, right? And I think Call of Duty didn't wait for Battlefield to release a new game to keep on moving forward. So I think there's a lot of challenge there. I think there was also a quote from Andrew Wilson that they are closely monitoring the markets and they might push it further if they see that it's not the right time to launch it. So basically, whenever GTA 6 will launch, could have an impact on when other AAA games launch this fiscal year, this calendar year.
In many ways, this is good news, because EA is very known for following, I guess, the investor and stock market, and just like focusing on like quarterly reports and making sure that they're releasing accordingly. But I mean, this is good news that they're trying to take their time and allowing less room for error.
I mean,
There was a
2042
bit of,
would teach you that lesson, definitely.
yeah. I mean, based on some of the glimpses of gameplay we just saw, of course, the fidelity and graphics is off the charts as usual, which is, not necessarily what drives a game these days. But it remains to be seen if the gameplay is on that level where, people can actually have fun.
You know what would be a great marketing campaign for a Battlefield or something like that? I was just thinking, what you could do is, you could say, I know that we've been known for graphical fidelity, but actually we're going to plunge this and we're going to take the force of dice and we're going to make a relatively low poly thing. And then you could have a whole thing about how we want to iterate quickly and respond and be able to make, I think you could actually make that argument quite well and it would resonate.
But that's Battle Beats, right?
Yeah, and I think they would respond. It
Yeah.
would be interesting to see a AAA game respond to that trend and say that we want to use the full force of a developer to be able to be agile and interesting and be able to make a game and not throw all of our money at fidelity.
Well, there was also another thing, which is trying to do too many things. Like, people play Battlefield to play Conquest. That's not. Or if you go back to Bad Company, it was Rush. But I think that focus is what made the game so good. Like, keeping the focus on, a few things that you do really good, and then maybe have one or two things that you experiment on, but not putting your eggs across all the baskets, trying to hit a broader, if it's an audience or broader whatever, game modes, or these things that doesn't, like, if you want to go back to it, what is Battlefield? You know what I mean? That's kind of like my thought process there. But yeah, I mean, both me and Dave were at Gamescom last year. The Delta Force booth was pretty huge.
Yeah, it was, definitely.
And they had a fairly big line. Maybe not as big as Battlefield 1 back in the day, but it was,
Battlefield 1 will probably be remembered as the peak of that franchise.
I was managing that line.
That game was cool as shit.
I think the longest, it was like 6 hours. People sat there for 6 hours to play like 10 minutes or 15 minutes.
That was when I was still press, and man, I would just look at those lines and be like, whoa, would I not wait in these things?
Yeah, I missed the operations from Battlefield 1. I think it's too bad that it was dropped. It really had a campaign flavor to a multiplayer game, basically.
Yeah.
And I think it was one of the last Battlefield from the OG team, like the DICE founders. And
Call of Duty World War II had something a little bit similar to Operations that I like too. It had sort of a objective-based, asymmetrical, multi-stage thing.
My only comment there is that focus on gameplay. When we say that, it's not just about you running around with guns and stuff, but also like take away anything that stands in the way of the player of engaging in actual gameplay. And I think one of the things with that mode, remind me again, sorry, the name of it. Operations. Thank you. There was these cutscenes and there was interruptions in you just being in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, gentlemen. Any other things about Battlefield or
What they
Battleland?
just quickly, so they also announced Battlefield Labs, which is some kind
Yeah.
of community test environment. So I think it's good.
Yeah, community is their main strength. So not only does it obviously make the game better, but like anything you can do on that community to
Yeah.
give them some stuff.
If you can convince and make the community participate ahead of the launch, it's easier to sell your game at launch, right? Otherwise, it's almost like a black box that only some tester, some reviewer have been testing. But here, at least, hopefully they can use the feedback, and it's not too late in the process because we might be only a few months away from the launch. So I don't know how much they can actually incorporate all that feedback into the final product. But yeah, I think
Balance.
it's a good alternative to just releasing in early access, which would be difficult for a premium game.
Yeah, I think what's fun about that is that like if you were to like, I hope they can use the feedback, but theoretically, if they were to like take all the feedback and set it on fire and not look at it, it would still be a helpful thing for community management. And also, you get some feedback, and you can help. You can hit your game could launch with bad balance, and that will really. This is the kind of thing where you can work on that earlier.
I mean, to Dave's point earlier, I feel like you could launch a Battlefield game without having this huge marketing, push, and just slowly build it up instead of boom in your face, buy it now.
Yeah, and I think it's better than just to do a beta 1 month before launch. And I mean, calling that a beta where actually you can't do anything anymore because your patch day 0 is already done, right?
Yeah, that was a marketing thing, right? That was a
Call of Duty is still doing that. Call of Duty is still doing that, but I think it's a marketing beat. It's not a development beat anymore.
Yes, I was probably one of the offenders, so I apologize about that. But okay, friends, let's move over to the next item, which is Video Game History Foundation. Digital libraries now available in early access. What is the Video Game History Foundation?
A lot of stuff like out of print video game magazines, art and press release archive, promotional material. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Goodies and stuff before give development material. I think if you go to the early access, you can look at let's look at I don't know, Mirror's Edge.
Very cool.
I'll use this video in the background. But so this is a non-profit. Is this UK based maybe, or was it US based?
Can't tell you. If you let me hear that guy's accent, we could probably figure it out.
I don't think that sound travels. I don't know why.
Oh yeah.
Non-profit organization.
He's American.
He's American.
He's American.
Guys, I was trying to put this off, but I should have peed before the podcast began. I'll give you back in just one moment.
Okay.
Yeah, just click on the website link. I think it's more interesting, and then they can see what we are talking about.
What would you like to see here?
I don't know. Just check Battlefield, for example.
Battlefield?
There's nothing. So I don't know how you actually look at that. Your title, okay.
I'll read some of what's happening here. So there is here's what's available on their thing.
You have Elden Ring stuff.
Elden Ring stuff. Are you talking about the? Okay, let's. I mean, I'm all about Elden Ring. Is it down here somewhere or?
Type it.
Type it. Did I misspell Elden Ring?
You're not showing that on the screen.
Sorry. Let me see here. I cannot find anything.
Right, Elden. Please open the website.
The same website. Give me a second. Here we go. Over here?
No.
Which one are we talking about? This one?
Click on the link.
Sorry. This one?
And then website on top. No, below. Sorry. Website in the text. First sentence.
First sentence. Okay.
In the text. Like go right. Website.
Yes.
And then write Elden there.
Okay, a bit slow here. Okay, so what am I
This
expecting
is
here?
so cool. Wow. It's like JSTOR.
Click.
Oh wow. Okay, so what we're looking at is so they're collecting not just materials from the game in terms of the game itself.
No. It's marketing, communication stuff mostly. Yes.
Wow. Some press kits, things that they've posted.
Oh, I wonder if they have anything from Yuzu.
This is interesting.
No. They have a lot of like print of older magazines also.
Yeah.
If you look at Wired, for example, Xbox Nation.
Oh wow! Look at that.
This is so cool. Have you guys used JSTOR much? It's an academic paper depository research sort of tool, and this reminds me sort of like a video game JSTOR in some way.
I like the scientific look of this site.
Yeah.
I feel like this is going to be a really important tool for marketers or game makers.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very early days, right? But I'm curious to see also what will happen. Like they're like a business card of someone from 2K Games. It's kind of funny to see what they will keep, how exhaustive it will be, but could be interesting at some point, right? Because our industry is all digital mostly, but a lot has happened also on the physical part.
Can anybody upload materials, or is it just them specifically documenting the stuff?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Really cool stuff. I was actually surprised. I thought it was just video game stuff, but like what I mean is like actual video games, but it seems like it goes even deeper. Okay, I'll move over to the next item then. Let's see here. We already spoke about Nintendo. I'll move over to the trends. So, clash of handhelds, portable gaming, a market on the move. What are we supposed to learn here? This is German.
Yes. Oh, I was part of that one. Yeah, this is just, again, it's a discussion. Again, you can translate, but it's about the release of the Switch 2. So I mentioned most of that, but you can have a look. I was interviewed in that one, and there are other experts giving their point of view. And I think that's where someone is claiming that Switch 2 might do better than Switch 1 in first year. So I think it's just more food for thought than anything else. What I talk here is also the potential competition from the other handhelds that have been launched since the Switch 1. So the Steam Deck and everything else, the portable PCs, and what it means. So yeah, just self-promotion, let's put it that way, but also some interesting stuff.
Well deserved, certainly. But I think, I think you will definitely. The Switch 2 will compete with the Steam Deck way more than the Switch itself because of the market it's going to necessarily release. Like the Switch Lite does not compete with the Steam Deck at all, but the Switch 2 will to a certain degree. And I think it's still, the Venn diagram is overlapping so much, but it's not moving apart, right? It's going to keep going together. I feel like it's one of those a very kind of traditional kind of tech clash of closed versus open. And they both have their arguments.
I'm just here for Mario.
Well, that's you're going to get a Switch.
So you're going to want a Steam Deck.
if you bought a Switch back then because you wanted to play your indie games on the go, then now you might not buy a Switch 2 because there are other alternatives. But if you're a Nintendo fan, no worries. The question is, will you upgrade or not? That's the only question. But out of the 150 million Switch on the market, there are not only Nintendo fans there. Some of them also just bought the Switch to play Fortnite. It's completely possible.
Do we know if there's any research on that specifically?
On what?
on how the intent of buying a Switch when they did buy one was the intent to play Nintendo games or other products.
I don't. What we see is that in terms of premium games, and I would say third-party games, paid one, there's still not a lot of market outside of the first-party games on the Switch. Free-to-play is a different story, but when you look at the paid game, the premium games, then it's mostly the Nintendo games that are popular on the Switch.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense
to me, especially so many families buying it for themselves and their kids, and like you're gonna get Mario Kart, Mario Party, Smash Brothers,
and we will have a special section about that in our next PC and console report. Again, I'm happy to share what we
Looking forward to that.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Yeah, gentlemen, I'll move over to the next item because of time. The big game engines report of 2025 is out.
Yes.
I'm very curious. Is there anything to learn about other engines?
Cool. I like to look at that way because it has it can have a lot of implication when you look at your target audience on PC, because not every graphic card can run every engine at 4K or at 2K or at 1K. So I think for developers, it's always interesting to really understand how much their min spec can influence their target audience. And I think what we see in this one is that Unity had some issues with the pricing. You know, that it was top of the news for a few weeks or months. They also had to change the CEO, and it's an interesting report. I think people should be aware of that. Godot is an engine that's picking up, and Unreal, obviously, Unreal for obvious reason. But I think Unity is losing a bit of steam because of their strange pricing decisions that they went back, right? But the damage was done. Developers switched to another engine once they started to squeeze them.
Also, Unity had already like made a couple suspect announcements in the past, and at a certain point, they're willing to forgive one major screw up, but the last one was too big and it lasted for too long, and there was too many of them, and people are just fed up.
Yeah.
It's like trying to make a trade deal with the US. At a certain point, you just stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have a question here, not necessarily about the report itself. I feel like there's some stuff to learn here. VG Insights, a long time ago, started during the console wars that are now not available anymore. And it was like almost viewed as like a second tier or like not a professional site per se. It has VG Insights become a more professional entity today? Do we know anything about that? Just trying to double check, not criticizing them or the report.
I do.
No insight there, huh? No. Okay. Gentlemen, I mean, I'm gonna check that out, by the way, and also the Video Game History Foundation. Those two seems to be cool. Next item on the list on the trends, I'm not sure. Should I be reading this, or I should just?
Well,
I'll just
that's one
share
of
my
your
screen
favorite topics, right?
That was a interesting one. Okay, I could make, and this is not me saying this. This is the quote from the article. I could make Fart Fart Booby Fart the game, and maybe it would eventually get taken down. Devs reveal why the consoles are drowning in E-slope or E-slop. I don't know, Dave, you would correct my English there, but anyways.
Well, we've talked about this. I think it's just showing that other people are also noticing what we've noticed, that there are so many games available on the Nintendo eShop. Many of them are just crap experience or very cheap one. We already had that on Steam. We also have that on the PlayStation Store. So it's kind of a bigger issue, and it makes the life more difficult for people that actually releasing good games to be noticed, right?
And the App Store too. There's really not a whole lot left.
I mean, we went from this era where first party had full on, like, super control, to today where random crap just gets posted and gets the room to shine to a certain extent or sell. And I'm just confused why they aren't in control like they used to be.
Blame Facebook, blame YouTube, blame this whole era of platform-oriented tech monetization that people saw that there was a whole lot of money to be made and just kind of shunting all that responsibility onto the developers and the players, and it kind of worked itself out in the end.
So I know parts of as an example, the PlayStation Store is curated to a certain extent, especially the first page before you actually dive into the store itself. I mean, are they using algorithms or any like ways where the system is automatically showing you games?
I'd be really surprised if they weren't.
You know, for the longest time, I've been complaining about I see games that I already own, which makes zero sense.
Man, that's not a complicated algorithm. If owned, then don't show.
Manu, any thoughts about this? Like, why is the curation of these stores not like what it used to be?
Because money.
But is it making money? Because I'm having a hard time finding good games to play, right? Isn't that
maybe not? But when you're like basic thinking is that the bigger your catalog, the more opportunity you have to sell, right? And I think probably some of the people that are taking this decision are actually not buying any games on their own store. So yeah, just it looks nice on an Excel paper, right? On an Excel sheet. More games, more revenue. But the reality is that sometimes you have to channel your audience attention to where it matters for them. And I mean, you have that with the tags and things like that on Steam, for example. So I think, or like games similar to that one. And I think it's a good way to find what you need.
On Steam, I haven't had as many issues, I would say. Served like crap, but I feel like there's an opportunity for somebody out there who wants to start a store that leads to other stores. And like, you know,
to be honest, that's a suggestion I also have on my side. Like, which game to play next?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Like proper curation.
Yeah, I mean, this is the main question of basically all of modern culture, right? Like, it's not a coincidence that the biggest companies in the world right now, Nvidia aside, Facebook and Google, their primary role is helping you navigate the large amount of stuff on the internet. Ideally.
Okay, gentlemen, I'll move over to the next item on the trends. Sonic 3 beats Detective Pikachu to become the all-time second highest grossing video game movie. Number one, I did not know that Detective Pikachu was the all-time highest grossing video game movie up until now.
No. So you read again the title.
Sonic 3 beats Pikachu to become. Yes.
So the first one is still Mario.
No, it says to become.
The all-time second. It is not a good headline.
I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, they got crammed a little too much stuff together. It does.
This is terrible.
Theoretically, on a syntactical level, makes sense, but it's a tough one.
This is the perfect video for a short.
Yeah,
it's a perfect short video.
Yes.
Okay. So we hired a community manager who's going to help us do this stuff. Please, this is a short.
I try to be assertive, right?
God damn it. Like, why do they do this to us?
Well, the point is, Mario is like 1 billion, 1.5 billion, and then Sonic is now second. And I think it's cool. It shows that what I find incredible is that, yes, there are Sonic games right now, but Sonic as a video game character is nowhere near to the popularity it used to be. So it's just a good movie. I think it's simple as that. Which is good.
That's a good point.
Yeah, exactly. I saw it. I went to it in theater. I even brought my 3-year-old, and everyone loved it. It was great.
Everyone was happy.
Very, very silly. Super. I would say it's probably reads as more of a kids movie, even a little bit more than Mario. They're both definitely kids movies, but there are a lot of you got Jim Carrey in it, so he's doing Jim Carrey stuff.
And Keanu Reeves.
And Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. John Wick in there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
And
wait, there was Keanu Reeves in the third movie?
he plays Shadow.
Oh, yeah, okay.
A lot of
I
stuff in it
will.
that made
He
no
doesn't
sense.
play. He's not playing John Wick. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
it would be,
Shadow is definitely the John Wick of the Sonic
Yeah.
world.
See,
So
perfect match.
I do want to give props to whoever was in the decision making of that movie.
Yeah.
Director is Jeff Fowler. No
Mhm.
idea who that is, but good on you.
good on you.
Yeah,
I mean, that whole series, as soon as they, the Ben, what's his face? I want to say Silverman, but he's a former games journalist. Ben Schwartz, maybe. He's great Sonic, but Jim Carrey as sort of the leading marketing face as Robotnik, that's good work. That did well.
And he's not doing any other movie, right?
No, I
He's
don't
not been
think.
on screen for a long time.
Yeah, I think he's just doing it because it's fun.
Yeah.
I was just tagged by somebody saying Civilization 7 is a mess for whatever reason.
Mhm.
Is there something we know about that specifically, or?
It's been divisive.
Yes.
Sitting at 80 on Metacritic.
Let's go to the next section, then we will talk about numbers.
Shall we go over to the next section? Okay. I mean, there were some bits and pieces. I'll just mention them, and we'll move over. So there's a Sumo Group announced a strategic shift, layoffs. Okay, I'm not going to look into that thing. The Sleeping Dogs movie. I don't know why we want that. It's already out there. 30 years ago.
Yeah, they already made. That's funny.
I think a Yakuza movie would be much more interesting.
Yeah, Sleeping Dog, the Infernal Affairs, right? That's that movie.
Yeah.
Just take an old movie, slap the name over it, and re-release it.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move. No rumors again this week.
Yes.
No rumors. Everything is.
There was a rumor about a Steam console, but then it was debunked, so I didn't even bother putting it there. Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump immediately into the numbers then. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 sales top 1 million in 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's good news.
That's cool. Yeah.
It's a great game. 87 or 89 Metacritic. I think it's potentially the first winner of the year. If you have not played the first one, you should give it a try. It has been, I think, given on the Epic Game Store, and then you can probably find it at a cheap price. It's an RPG, but without the fantasy. So it's Middle Ages RPG games without. It's basically like Skyrim, but without the magicians. Oh, and it's very funny. It's very immersive, and I'm a fan. Well, that's if you have not noticed. And just as a comparison, Dragon Age Veilguard did 1.5 million in 1 quarter.
Oh wow!
Yeah, I mean it's. I feel. Oh God, look at that town square. That's so cool.
Looks
So
beautiful.
cool.
That is great. Yeah, I feel like they're really trying to take the empty chair of the people making a big immersive first-person RPG.
Yes.
And looks good.
Is this on consoles as well?
Yes.
I wish it wasn't made by a company led by a Gamergate guy, but it looks really cool.
And it was released in early access, I think, for a few weeks also. But yeah, it's good. I'm happy. I'm glad. We need games like this.
I mean, it is on my list now. Now that you're talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll move over to the next.
So the point is that it released the same day as Civilization 7.
Ooh. Yeah. Okay. Then on the next line, so just to go back to the Civilization, because I think 6 was trending a lot on SteamDB.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we saw that. We talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know on the top of your head, like, what's going on with 7? Like, why? There's a pre-launch. Here's somebody who wrote me something. Civ 7 pre-launch is a little bit of a mess. Lots of people who can't even launch the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm reading.
Yeah. So technical issues. I think they also came with new features to open the funnel, like to make it a bit more to increase the audience size. Maybe this doesn't resonate well to the OG Civ players. I'm not a Civ player, so I cannot really comment on the quality of the game. But there might be just simply technical issues, and people are like, okay, well, we wait a few weeks, a few patches, and then we will jump in if it's good enough.
Okay, I want to ask about something that we haven't spoken about last week or this week. is there any news about Ubisoft in terms of, because I was hearing some rumor. I'm not the one putting out the rumor, but like about a purchase. Maybe we already discussed it. But is there anything worth noteworthy?
We have 1 week when there is nothing about Microsoft in the newsletter, but you want to talk about it. Really? There's nothing to say. Nothing's happening.
Here's a question I have.
The next time we talk about Ubisoft will be for Shadow, and there's probably going to be a lot to talk about.
That was actually the question I was going to have for the French speaker. Is it Ubi or Ubi? It's Ubi, right? Yeah.
Thank you for the input, Dave.
Yeah.
But it is safe to say, dump your stocks if you have any Ubisoft stocks based on that game. That's my takeaway, at least. We'll see.
Based on Shadows? Shadows had good previews.
No, I don't have anything negative about Shadow so far.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
Maybe you have some insider information, but we don't.
I have no insider information, but it's just a gut feeling.
I will say that, like, let's say it's as good or worse or better than Valhalla. We'll probably still sell worse than Valhalla. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like I've got like my buddy Tom here. He is an operations consultant at a steel mill. So pretty far away from our world. And like Assassin's Creed is like one of the things that he will seek out. And I know other people like that it is pretty well entrenched with, like, you know, dudes 33 years old and older. And so I could see it performing well for that reason.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Next item on the list, we have Konami revises forecasts as profits increase 38% to $560 million.
I thought we just saw that Silent Hill was disappointing last week, or was it not?
I was just about to say, Konami is not just a video game company. So I'm trying to understand, does this have anything to do with video games specifically, or is there other sides of their business? Don't they do gyms and stuff as well?
Well, I think 2 million units is significant for a company like Konami when it comes to the video game part of their business. I think that's more the message. That is, they don't need, if tomorrow they sell a game for 20 million units, then it's going to be noticeable, but already here's a nice bump thanks to Silent Hill. It doesn't mean that they are beating their forecast, but at least the year-on-year is increasing just because there was no Silent Hill last year.
Sorry, I have to ask this. So, I mean, when it comes to Konami, because I barely associate them with games anymore. Maybe you have to, like, you have to educate me again about where they're operating. It does say here digital entertainment, and it feels like out of the total numbers, digital entertainment stands for roughly 90%, 80% of all their revenue.
Yeah.
And by digital entertainment, do we know if this is referring to games specifically?
It's mostly games, I believe.
Do they do pachinko?
I mean, they have eFootball, right? eFootball, and you've probably heard also that EAFC 25 is a bit struggling in the recent weeks. So there might be something for eFootball also over there. Mostly in other not less traditional markets, probably like the FIFA market.
Trying to dig into Konami a bit. It's such a long time since I saw something relevant for me specifically from Konami, but Silent Hill obviously, but okay.
Metal Gear, right?
Metal Gear.
They're still sitting on the Metal Gear IP.
Yeah, Metal Gear Delta, right? When is that coming out? Let's find out. 2025. There's no date, it seems like.
No.
Tentative. But that one's probably going to sell bonkers if it reviews well. Obviously, no Kojima attached to it, so
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, it's good.
Yeah.
Speaking of the East, Black Myth Wukong tops 25 million copies sold. And they have a lot of merchandise, apparently. Funny enough, do you remember that booth at Gamescom? Where it was a booth, it was a Black Myth Wukong booth, and they had no games. It was just like a statue in the middle, and then there was like some stuff in the background.
That. Yeah.
And I was super confused. But maybe merchandise, I don't know. Apparently in China, people care about Black Myth Wukong. Any learnings about this specifically, or I'm gonna visit the SteamDB list while you think a bit about Black Myth Wukong merchandise sales. Is it still in the top? Oh, there we go. It's the 21st game on the Steam charts, which is pretty crazy. And this is
that's nuts.
Yeah, they
For
released
a
in
single
August.
player game. Yeah.
It peaked at what did it peak at again? 2.45 million active players when it launched. Okay. Next item. We've spoken about this game before as well. Dragon Ball Sparkling Zero. Tops 5 million. I know you like that game as well, right?
I'm happy about the success of that game. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think that's we always like to see anything succeed, especially if it's not something that like seemed predestined to succeed, like GTA or whatever. So good on them. Everything. I mean, we're happy.
And I'm even more happy when we called it, right? When early days we said that there's something good happening with that one, so it is good to see.
Visuals are great. Look at that.
Yeah, it's like anime, but you play it.
Yeah.
And this was single player, right?
Yes.
So, I thought it had some fighting.
Maybe, but I think it's mostly, and it's a fighting game, but it feels like almost like a open world adventure game.
Very cool.
Okay, then I believe we only have one item left on the list, my friends, which is 1 million people have now played Batman Arkham Shadow. Wait a second, what is Arkham Shadow? Oh, that's the VR thing.
Yeah.
Huh. It's like, again, you have one of the best franchise games ever and you don't serve the core audience, but let me know how important, if at all, is this?
I think it was given for free if you purchase a VR device, if I remember correctly. So that might skew the numbers. But it just showed how big you can do, how much you can do. You're still not going to sell 10 million units of your game, of your VR game, right? So you have to make sure that you design your P&L based on the number of units you can actually sell, which is 1 million, 2 million maximum. I think I had a piece about Gorilla Tag VR.
Yeah, that one was a big hit, right?
Players, I think it was millions. 10 million. So it's a free to play, right?
Is it free to play?
Yeah.
You said? Yeah. Maybe a broad question about VR, especially with the news last week, unfortunately, with fast travel games almost letting go of 30-ish people in the publishing department. Do we feel like VR in general, is it on a steady line? Is it in a decline? Is it getting more people to
Is it the year of the VR?
I am actually staying quiet on this one.
Every year is the year of the VR since 2010 maybe. So steady grow. I think Meta did a good job with the 3S. It's opening the funnel, but it's not solving any of the biggest roadblocks of VR, which is the weight, the size of the device, the added value to just normal video game experience, the isolation from the world, the motion sickness and everything. There's been like small progress, but I think I had this idea. The day you come with just like a pair of glass and a box in your pocket where you put the battery and everything, maybe it starts to be more convenient. But until then, it's still a niche device.
This is why I'm saying, sorry, Manu. This is why I'm saying that we should bring back 3D. Remember those days when they were pushing 3D?
Oh yeah,
3D TVs on us.
I'm actually 3D right now. See,
I mean, you are 3D, absolutely.
Yeah, see, I can touch
to come back in the interview I did for the handheld discussion, I was thinking, what if you had a Steam Deck, but instead of having a physical screen, it's just connected to some kind of VR device?
Yeah, there's a company called Xreal that I think has a good approach to this kind of thing. There's glasses, right? So it's not a goggles. But basically, they're not trying to say, they're not going to be like, we're going to fundamentally change the way you interact with the world. We're not going to really bring you any new experiences. We're going to give you a nice screen and put it in your face. That's it. And I think that would be the right thing for something like that, like what you're talking about.
And so I see also with my kids, so the Meta Quest, it's cool now because you don't need to plug it anymore to anything. You can just play it. So here the thing, you can just play it standalone, but it means that you need a portable computer in the headset, right? And you need the battery and everything for that. But do we have a device which is just remotely linked to a computer who's doing all the processing, and it's just basically a remote screen, but on your eyes, which would require smaller batteries, smaller everything, and I don't know. Maybe again, I think there is something there potentially.
And also, I think one of the problems with any kind of streaming on that is that the latency requirements on VR are intense. You need a high frame rate in order to keep from getting sick, and you need it to be incredibly responsive. So any kind of streaming is really dicey for that reason.
Do we know when we'll get that technology where you stick a very long needle into your neck and you'll just be in VR?
You can do, well, you can't do the VR part. You can do the first part right now if you want.
Yeah. We can have the chip already.
Yeah.
Ask Elon.
Yeah.
Well, wake me up when we're there, gentlemen.
Yeah.
We've reached the end of the newsletter. Thank you so much for joining me and breaking down the news. Of course, for those who are listening, guysweekly.substack.com. Please subscribe, follow, like, do all these things that help us in many shapes and forms. We've actually seen an uptick in the last 3 weeks, so we really appreciate that. And then with that being said, we'll see you on the next one.
See you later.
See you.
Bye.